Alright, for today's lesson you're going to learn how to perform a translation. Alright, so a translation is a transformation in which all the points of a figure are moved the same distance in the same direction. Okay, so every single point in a figure is moved the same distance in the same direction. Okay, now when you're told to perform a translation, you're given a translation vector, a translation vector. Okay, and what the translation vector is the rule you have to follow in order to translate the picture or the figure. Okay, so since it's the rule that you have to follow, and since we're moving each point a certain distance in a certain direction, the translation vector tells you the distance and the direction to move each x coordinate and y coordinate in the figure. Okay, so go ahead and catch up if you haven't written that all down. I'll give you about 30 seconds to do so. Alright, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, so remember, if you don't remember about x and y coordinates, it's that little thing that looks like this, so it's always in parentheses. You have x comes first and y comes second. Always, always, always. Okay? So remember, the x coordinate describes a horizontal change in your figure because the x coordinate goes left to right. And the y coordinate describes a vertical change in your figure. I forgot change. We're going to go ahead and write in change. So a vertical change in your figure. Okay? Now, when you're looking at a translation vector and you're looking at the rule, if the x is positive, or if you see the plus sign, the addition sign, then you're going to move the figure to the right. Okay? If the x is negative, or if you see the minus symbol, then you're going to move the x or the figure to the left. Okay? If the y is positive, and remember y is a vertical move, okay, if the y is positive, then you're going to move the figure up. If the y is negative, you're going to move the figure down. Okay? Alright, so remember it. When you translate the point x comma y to the point x plus a comma y plus b, the number a, this number right here, the number a tells you how far to move left or right. Okay? The number b tells you how far to move up or down. Okay? And that's basically everything we said right here in this table. Okay, so A is going to tell you whether or not to go left or right, and B is going to tell you whether or not to go up or down. Okay, so let's look at this example of a translation vector, or the rule we need to follow. Okay, and this is just an example. Notice the A is right here, okay, and it's a +3. The B is right here, and it's a -4. Okay, so with that being said, we are going to move our figure. In order to translate it, we're going to move our figure right 3 spaces, okay, and then once we get there, we're going to move our figure down 4 spaces. Alright, pretty simple, straightforward. Let's go ahead and do an example. So go ahead and turn in your notes to page 42, next page. Okay. Alright, so example. Graph quadrilateral. Quadrilateral, remember quad means 4 sides, or a 4-sided polygon. Graph quadrilateral ABCD with vertices A at -1, 2, B at -1, 5, C at 4, 6, and D at 4, 2. Okay, so first step, write down where your pre-image is at. Remember, from yesterday's notes, your pre-image is the original image. Okay, so let's write down where the vertices are for our pre-image. Okay, so our A is at -1, 2, B is at -1, 5, C is at 4, 6, and D is at 4, 2. Okay, and I just copied them down from here. Now let's look at the rule. Find the image of each vertex after this translation. So let's look at the rule. Our A is +3, and our B is -1. Okay, so let's write down in words what that means. We're going to move our image right 3, and once we get there, we're going to go down 1. Okay, so let's apply our rule to get our image. Okay, so let's apply the rule, which is a translation vector. We need to go right 3, we need to add 3 to each x. Okay, and then we're going to subtract 1 from each y. So 2 - 1, 5 - 1, 6 - 1, and 2 - 1. Okay, once we apply the rule, we are going to get our image, or the coordinates for our image. Now, when we apply the rule, we want to make sure that we know that we're going from A to A prime. So we're going to label the new points as A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. Alright? So where are our new points going to be? Well, -1 plus 3 would give me +2. 2 minus 1 will give me 1. -1 plus 3 will give me +2. 5 minus 1 will give me 4. 4 plus 3 will give me 7. 6 minus 1 will give me 5. 4 plus 3 will give me 7. And 2 minus 1 will give me 1. So go ahead, take a moment and catch up. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Alright, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay? So this is what we're going to do. Using two different colors, we're going to graph the pre-image, and then we're going to graph the image. Alright, we're going to graph the pre-image, and then we're going to graph the image. Alright, so I'm going to use blue for my pre-image. So, -1, 2, there's my A. -1, 5, that's B. 4, 6, okay, that's C. And 4, 2, that's D. Okay, so go ahead, grab your straight edge, and connect these points because they are a quadrilateral. Alright, so that's our pre-image. Now let's see where our image ended up. Okay? And to graph the pre-image, I'm going to use the color green, and I'm going to use these points over here on the end. So I need to graph A prime at 2, 1. So that's A prime. B is going to be at 2, 4. That's B prime. C is going to be at 7, 5. Okay, so that's C prime. And then D prime is going to go at 7, 1. There's D prime. Okay, I'm going to grab my straight edge, and I'm going to connect the green. Now as I'm doing this, remember, all a translation does is it slides an image. It does not change the size or the shape in any way. All we did was a slide. Okay? And there you go. So for translations, when it comes to graphing, I definitely encourage you using two different colors, one for your pre-image and one for your image. Alright? So go ahead and try the U-try. And once you try the U-try, the number 1, you're going to move on to page 43, and you're going to complete number 2. Okay? Now, as you're completing these, or as you're working on these, remember what the expectations are. The expectations is that you are working silently and independently. If at any point you have a question, feel free to ask your neighbor. If you want to check yours, ask your neighbor. At the end, when you are done with number 1 and number 2, both parts A and B, there is a key on each shelf for you to check your work on. Alright? If you're okay with your answers, go ahead and make sure that you have written down not only the definition of translation in your vocabulary, but make sure that you write down the definition of a rotation, a reflection, and rigid motion. Now, you can find the definition of translation, rotation, reflection, and rigid motion from your notes yesterday. Okay? Now, again, take these words, define them, and your vocabulary list in the back of your binder. Once you're done organizing yourself, then you can move on to the independent practice. Now, the independent practice is going to be due on Tuesday, September 9th. All right? So you're going to work on it right now, and it's going to be due Tuesday to me on September 9th. All right? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.